Burn injuries can be caused by many different types of accidents. I mean, obviously you have burn injuries arising from home fires and plant explosions and things like that. But we've also seen injuries coming from things like electrical arc flashes at industrial plants. We've also seen inhalation injuries from inhaling chemicals into your lungs, and those also cause burns. Clients who've suffered burn injuries come to us usually in a very confused and anxious state. They're worried about lost wages, they're worried about medical bills, they're worried about how this burn is going to impact them in the future. And so you want to make sure that you can try to help guide them through a very difficult process, to say the least. I wouldn't say that there's necessarily a typical type of injury from a burn incident that we see. They run the full gamut of injuries, and oftentimes with burn injuries, in addition to the cosmetic injuries, obviously, to the skin itself, you're going to have other injuries, internal organ failure. You're going to have, in many cases, complete loss of nerve function, depending on how severe the burns are. I think that burn injuries affect family members in a way that other injuries just simply do not. With burn injuries, you have a person who has often been severely burned. They're in a controlled environment. The family members often can't or are not allowed to even be in the same room with the person. I think it brings a lot of anxiety for those family members because they're wondering how their loved one is going to be able to recover, what type of scarring that person's going to have, what type of resulting debilitations that person's going to have. And so I think that burn injuries are unique in the amount of stress and anxiety that they cause family members. The types of damages associated with burn injuries are usually related to things like payment of medical bills and lost wages. And those medical bills with burn injuries can be significantly higher than other types of injuries. In addition, I've seen that family members or spouses rather have what's called a loss of consortium claim. And those claims are always present in other types of cases, but in burn injury cases, I think that they're even more important because the spouse really have their own pain and suffering from watching a loved one who has been severely burned and in many cases have sustained life-altering injuries. Our firm's location in Augusta, Georgia makes us uniquely suited to help people who have suffered burn injuries. Many people don't realize, but Augusta has at Joseph M. Still Burn Center the largest burn center in North America and the third largest burn center in the world. And over the years, we've developed relationships with many of the nurses and the doctors at Joseph M. Still Burn Center. It makes us unique in our ability to be able to communicate with the doctors, to get the type of medical evidence that we need from those doctors in helping to prosecute any type of case, whether it be a personal injury case, whether it be a workers' compensation case, or even a Social Security case. I would say that people hire our firm for many different reasons. Some people have relationships already in the past with our firm. Some people have relationships with former clients of our firm. We also get referrals from other lawyers, and we tend to get most of our referrals from other clients. And I think that it kind of builds more of a relationship with the clients than some other firms would have. I would hope that current and past clients would describe our firm as being a small firm that is able to accomplish great things for them. A firm that is able to pay attention to their needs, where if they do contact us and they want to speak to one of the attorneys, they will actually get to speak to an attorney and not to a paralegal or a legal assistant. They actually get one-on-one contact with us. We currently have 5 attorneys. We have a small support staff that helps with us in prosecuting cases. Client communication is one of the most important things in developing a relationship with your client. If they feel like that you're not contacting them or discussing their case with them, then they often feel lost, and they're already feeling lost, and that's why they've hired you in the first place. So that is one of the top priorities we have as a law firm. One of the biggest things I think that separates us from other firms in the Augusta-Aiken area especially is that we practice law in both South Carolina and Georgia. And we've practiced law in South Carolina and Georgia for a long time. I've actually been licensed in South Carolina longer than I've been licensed in Georgia. Your case will not be handed off to another attorney in the firm. When you hire our law firm, you are hiring all of the lawyers. We all tend to work together on cases. All of the support staff tend to work together on cases. But at the end of the day, the lawyer that you hired will be the lawyer that you deal with, and that lawyer will stay there throughout the entire case. What you can expect at your initial consultation for a burn injury is that you would sit down with us and we would go through the facts of your case. burn injuries are unique in the sense that they often times happen in industrial settings. So we would want to know, okay, did your burn happen at a workplace? If so, there's a workers' compensation aspect to that claim as well. And then we would also want to know, was there a third party that was involved? Was it products liability that may have caused this burn? So there's many different things that we would want to go through at that initial consultation. And also it would be an explanation of the process of the case, because burn injury cases can be very complicated. And so we would want to sit down and take some time in explaining the steps of the case and making sure that you understood the process when you walked out the door.